And welcome everybody to Tea Time. It's my favorite tea time of the week, 4 o'clock Eastern Time. And ladies and gentlemen, it is U.S. Open week. I can't believe it. We're 2 weeks out from the Tour Championship, and somehow we're getting ready for the U.S. Open. Joined here by my good friend Nick Borrman. Nick, did you ever think you would be preparing for the U.S. Open weeks after Labor Day? Because I did not.
No, of course not. This is when we golf bettors go into hibernation mode and try to hide into the smallest little events that you can find. And you look at the European Tour. Sometimes gets a lot more action this time of year. So
yep.
Hey, it's great. We got Augusta in 8 weeks, 6 weeks.
I know it's crazy.
It's cool. I'm excited.
So, okay. So the star of this week is probably not going to be a golfer. The star of this week is going to be Winged Foot. There's a lot of stuff about it. I have a friend that's out there that's played it. So, Nick, let's just jump into it right now. I start with you every week. Let's talk Winged Foot. Tell me what you know about it.
Well, it's a U.S. Open course. We know it's going to play very, very difficult. 2006, so this is the sixth time that Winged Foot has hosted the U.S. Open. The last time, 2006, was the famous Phil Mickelson oh-so-close double bogey on the 72nd hole to lose. One of his, I believe, what does he have, 5 runner-up finishes in the U.S. Opens? 4 maybe? It's a very difficult course. Jeff Ogilvy, who's a name you haven't heard in a long time, won the U.S. Open in 2006, didn't shoot under par in any single round. They're expecting similar conditions this week. Rough, of course, will be long. Greens stimping 13, sloped crazy amounts back to front. I mean, there are very, 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 very few safe spots on the putting surfaces. It's a par 70, so that alone makes it that much more difficult because you only have 2 par 5s. We've had a lot of those. The BMW is that way. There's been a lot of courses that have coming in at par 70s. The yardage, we'll go back to my math, is 7,477 yards at a par 70. That puts my math, divide the yards by 100, that puts the average score of about 74.77. In 2006, the average score was 74.99. So pretty much right on the money, which is 5 over par as an average score. There's not a lot of trees here, actually. You can find some if you're way off on your tee shots, and there's only water on one single hole. So really, it's just the rough. It's keeping the ball in play off the tee. The guys that are going to hit fairways are going to score. If you do not hit a fairway, you are not going to make par. And then getting up and down on greens is not easy. So you're going to make bogeys. The key is to minimize mistakes this week. Nobody's going to get through these any round without making a couple bogeys. It's just not going to happen. You're going to hit just – like the thing is you can hit a good shot and miss by 2 feet, and you're going to be penalized big time for it. And that's what Winged Foot is. So it's going to be fun to watch. Everybody likes to watch the U.S. Opens and watch these guys struggle. And I very highly believe this will be an over par winner when it's all said and done on Sunday.
Yeah, I do too. John Rahm walked this course 2 weeks ago, and when they asked him, he said if they don't put any water on these greens, the winner's definitely going to be over par. They have not put water on it. They've just let the rough grow. There are some absolutely incredible social media videos about the rough. There's one where the guy put the Arnold Palmer can, and it set down in the rough, and the grass like came up over the can. That's the really tall can. There was the one where the guy putted it up the hill about 20 feet and it rolled right back down into the hole. And I just saw Justin Thomas talk on Golf Channel about how this is the only course he's played on where you can use the greens as a backstop when you're putting, where you almost can shoot it past the hole and get it to roll back in. I was talking to you just before we started that I have a friend that lives out there. He plays it once a year at an outing, and he was telling me this is the closest thing to putting on glass that he has ever seen. So it should be pretty incredible. I'm really, really excited for it. Weather could be a little cool. Mm-hmm. Definitely windy for the first couple days. I never want to look at weather for the weekend on a Tuesday or Wednesday. I've learned firsthand out there that whatever they say now, that's not always accurate. So I do know it's going to be a little bit of cool. And I did read something really good. The toughest holes are 12 through 18, I believe. They were saying that those are the holes that are really going to be difficult. And if you have a real early tee time on Thursday or Friday and you're teeing off on the back, on one of those days, you get the advantage with the softer greens on that back nine, but then you turn around and you get the hardest the next day or the previous day. So they were trying to figure out if there's an advantage to teeing off early on the back nine or middle, and it was inconclusive. So yeah, that's what I know about Winged Foot. What's more important? And you got to pick one. You got to pick one, Nick. No weaseling out of this. Driving accuracy or putting? If you were playing this and they told you were going to be number one in one of them, driving accuracy or putting, what would you want it to be?
Driving accuracy.
I agree. And normally it's putting. I would say 95 times out of 100. So what say you? You're the professional golfer on this show.
Well,
what makes you say that?
The last U.S. Open I went to was Marion, which is right in Philadelphia, and that's close to where I'm from. So when I was there, the course there is short. It's very, very old, built in the middle of the city, very short course. But the rough, as we talk about at the U.S. Open, was brutal. Literally watching guys hit wedges 30 yards, 90 degrees back to the fairway on their second shots. And that's what we're talking about. So, I mean, to be the best putter this week doesn't mean anything if you're not hitting greens in regulation, right? Because if you're being the best putter and you're just getting up and down for bogey or two putting for bogey, you're not doing yourself any favors. If you miss fairways, you are simply not going to score at all. Listen, birdies are going to be hard to come by. This is going to be one of the few weeks I think the majority of the field for sure. I even go as far as to say it's possible the top 10 players, maybe except for the winner, might have more bogeys than they do birdies this week. It's going to be that difficult. So when you think about that, you absolutely have to play for par. The only way to make par at a U.S. Open course is to put the ball in the fairway and hit a green. So you just got to get the ball in play. If you don't, you're going to be scrambling just to make bogey, and then doubles, triples, or worse are very, very likely. So yes, putting's important. Putting can save a lot of mistakes for sure, but you don't even have a chance if you don't hit a fairway.
I agree completely with you. I was kind of hoping you would say putting because I would have loved to have played devil's advocate with you on that. But I'm with you. Just seeing the rough, and I was talking to a buddy of mine. He said it's almost like a one-shot penalty if you're in the rough. Like it's hard to think of it that way. It's there's no going for it out of there. So welcome Richard, Courtney, Clive. He likes Xander Simpson and my follow over a cliff man Fowler. Oh boy. Got a Fowler truther in here. So we have a US Open where we obviously play different courses every year. I actually look at US Open previous finishes, even though they are on different courses. I think the courses are set up similar, and you have a lot of the same conditions, which is the faster greens, the thicker rough. And so I don't think it's a mistake this week to look at how did they do last year and the year before and the year before. Whereas normally, PGA championships, I might not worry about it so much. What are you taking into account this week when you're looking at handicapping this?
You mean in terms of just kind of the course history aspect of it, which we know there really isn't. Tournament history, rather?
Yeah, tournament history. Do you look at that?
There's definitely something to be said for it. I mean, the conditions are tough, and only certain players are going to perform well at certain type of conditions. So you go back to past winners of the event, it's the guys that are striking the ball the best. I mean, there's no fluke winners. Maybe you go back to Lucas Glover, way back 2009 as a called fluke winner, for a U.S. Open. Otherwise, you don't have fluke winners at the U.S. Open. You got to hit the ball well, and you got to have the guys that consistently play well in the U.S. Opens usually play well no matter where it is. The one guy that's played the best in the hardest conditions so far since the restart is Rahm. He won the Memorial and he won the BMW, the two hardest courses that these guys have played. So, I mean, he's a guy that, I don't like his price at 10-1. I don't like anybody up at that price just because it's too cheap. Yeah. But of the big names this week, he's shown the most, and it's hard to argue against DJ, but he's shown the most as far as playing in these type of conditions and weathering the storm. He even we talk about his head game all the time, right? He even had a penalty assessed against him. Now the Memorial didn't matter at all, but the one at the BMW could have. He had a penalty assessed in both tournaments, still won. So maybe he's around on his headspace. Maybe he's getting better.
Well, I agree. I think the major might be just a touch more pressure. And as hard as those courses were, I think this one, I would much rather have the DJ mentality of nothing bothering me rather than the ROM. But I will. He has done a lot better. I haven't seen any club throws in the last few tournaments. I haven't seen that sulking or where he has one bogey, which leads to 2 more bogeys. I'm not going to be on him. I don't have any head-to-head matchups or any outrights on him this week, but I mean, he's one of the betting favorites, and for good reason. It's hard to argue with his history here. So let's start handicapping some of these golfers, and we might as well start at the top. DJ, Rahm, Justin Thomas, Rory is still up there, even though I think his game does not fit well at all here with his struggles with putting and his wedge play. He's a complete write-off for me up at the top. And then you got I'm going to include Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa, and DeChambeau. So let's talk those guys. DJ, Rahm, JT, Rory, Schauffele, Morikawa, DeChambeau. Are there any guys that you're just writing off completely, or guys that you're saying, oh, no, I really think they're going to be in there at the end?
Bryson. I'm writing him off. Anybody else in that top list? I'll listen to any argument for him. I mean, there's plenty of reasons to like any of those guys up at the top. That's why they're at the top. They've been good all year. They got a proven history. You can't really make too many arguments against most of those guys. Bryson is the one that I think he can. He's kind of fallen off since his crazy start out of the gate since the restart. He's not going to be able to overpower the course, and that's his one advantage. There is no hitting 400-yard bombs here and getting away with a slight miss. And you have to be so precise. He's good, but he's not as precise as you need to be, especially with the iron play and hitting the right side of the green. So he's a complete fade for me this week, or at least avoid. But anybody else in the top of the list, listen, I could listen to arguments for any of them. I really don't think you could talk me off of any of them. I think they all have a pretty good chance.
I will try and play devil's advocate for Bryson. Okay. In 2020, he did finish top 10 in terms of putting. So you might be able to make that case. And then he swings so hard. I think I could make the case he might be the one guy that could get it out of the rough. So if he does hit it 350 yards in the rough and he's 190 away, he might be the only guy in the field that might be able to. Now he's going to hurt his back or break an elbow or something. But no, I'm with you. I believe Bryson is a fade. I think the guy that just seems to be lurking always is Xander Schauffele, and there's always going to be a lot of Xander fans, especially in the majors. I think Colin Morikawa is lurking just in the weeds, like just kind of hiding there, and all of a sudden is going to show up like, hey, remember me? I hit fairways, I hit greens, I can hit putts, and I've heard nothing about him. I've read articles, and you hear nothing about it, and it feels like without Brooks Koepka in this, it's anybody's ball game, and I kind of like Morikawa. I know you and Dave are big fans of his, so
I do like Morikawa. I won with him at the PGA. So the only reason I'm not playing him this week is I don't see him winning. Doesn't mean I'm not going to look at him at head-to-head matchups. I just don't see him winning back-to-back majors. I think it's just, the odds are stacked even more against him from that scenario. But he's a proven major winner now, so he's got the mentality to do it. So you got that side of it too. Of the other guys up top, my favorite play of them all, and it's a little bit based on the value of him at the price, is Webb. I like him. I think he's 28-1. He didn't play very well at the Tour Championship, but that's okay. He's a past U.S. Open winner. He led the Tour in scoring, par 4 scoring, putts per green, and maybe the most important stat this week, bogey avoidance. So 18th in Tour driving accuracy, 11th on Tour and greens and regulation. My point is this guy should safely get around the course and make a lot of pars, and that could be good enough this week to be right there come the end of the week. It's the winner this week is going to be the guy that avoids the big number, because if they're going to be out there and everybody's going to make something big. There's going to be doubles on everybody's cards throughout the week. There may even be triples, but whoever can keep those to 1 or 2 probably is going to come out of here with the title.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's good. Courtney wants to know, who are some of the best grinders heading to this week? I think that's really well put. Who are guys that we can expect to grind through it? Schauffele is the first that comes to mind. He can get down and dirty. Rahm has impressed me this year. If I I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think Patrick Reed is a fade this week, but I don't know. That's a guy that I just see can take advantage of some weird situations, and it wouldn't surprise me if he just surprises everybody that gets up there. And if I'm going down even far, when you say grinder, to me that means a veteran guy, a guy that's kind of been in the trenches with some of this stuff. He's a major winner, and he's got 2 top 25 finishes in his last. I got Louis Oosthuizen, who can get off to a hot start. That's another guy at long odds that I could absolutely see up at the top as kind of one of those grinding guys. So, Nick, I think it's a great question from Courtney. Grinders. What are some names that come to mind?
Well, I guess what is the definition of a grinder? To me, it's a guy that he's not the first round leader. You're not really paying attention to him. He's just ho-humming along, making his pars, a couple bogeys here and there, hanging on, not making any mistakes, grinding his way around the course, and all of a sudden, at the end of the tournament, you're like, wait, I didn't even realize he was there. And you already hit who it was, and I think it's Xander.
Nice.
He has made every cut since the restart. He had a tied for 64th at Harbortown, but top 25s in all 9 other starts. And I don't really remember talking about him on Sunday with the chance to win any of them. Yet he had tied for 6th at the FedEx St. Jude, tied for 10th at the PGA, tied for 2nd last week at the Tour Championship, or 2 weeks ago. 3rd in total shots gained, 7th tee to green, 8th off the tee. Solid short game, 37th around the green, 33rd putting. I think, according to my definition of grinder, he's the grindiest grinder of all.
The grindiest grinder of them all. Yeah, and I'll just throw out 3 top 6 finishes the last 3 U.S. Opens.
Yes.
That doesn't get more grindier than that. Point. So, all right, I'm Andy Lang. That's Nick Borrman. You can find our picks at wagertalk.com. Nick, I saw your U.S. Open golf package is up, yes?
Yeah, so I have the package up. I have a 5% top play up right now. What I'm doing this week is I put that play out because I liked it, got it out early. I'm going to add to that package all week. So if you buy that play, you'll get, because I'll have more plays I'll add to it tonight. And then during the tournament, I'll have daily matchup plays added in. So basically for that one pick, you're going to get my entire week, all 4 days coverage. It'll include outright bets, leaderboard bets, and any daily head-to-head matchups I'll add throughout the week. So, yep, it's up available right now on my page at Wager Talk.
Awesome. That's Nick Borrman. His package is up, and on Wager Talk they put us right next to each other. I don't know if that was on purpose or or not. I got inspired on Monday. I could not stop researching, and then the head-to-head matchups came out, and I was hooked. I ended up staying up till 3 a.m. last night. That's not a joke. Yeah. There's so many of them, and I'm addicted to the head-to-head matchups. I just am. So my golf package is up. I have 8 plays, and I'm going to be adding a prop later. I too have a 5% play. I like to say I'm undefeated in 5% plays, even though I've only had 2 of them, but it counts. So 1-0 2 weeks ago, 2-1 last week. So yeah, you guys can get both of ours. Why not get both of ours? Like, we've both turned a profit this year. So we handicap a little bit differently, and we end up with a lot of different plays. Some overlaps, but very few, and both of them really good. Okay, let's go down the list a little bit. Kind of tier 2, which I think you and I would both agree is going to be where you're going to find the most value. This is your Patrick Cantlay, Daniel Berger, Finau, Matsuyama, Fleetwood. I guess we'll throw Jason Day in there, even though I want nothing to do with him.
Yep.
Adam Scott, and I didn't know if you know this, it's federal law. We have to talk about Tiger Woods at the U.S. Open. So, and why not? Let's throw Reed, Rose, and Fowler into that group. So let's talk Cantlay, Berger, Finau, Matsuyama, Fleetwood, Day, Scott, Woods, Reed, Rose, Fowler. Go ahead and pick any of these guys out of the group if you want, or if not, say I'm not on any of these guys.
not one of those names really got me excited. I mean, three of the names are on my avoid list. Reed, Tiger, and Rose are on my avoid or bet against list. Of those guys, weirdly, Adam Scott. I mean, I don't think he's going to win, but he's a weird case study. I'll just put it that way, right? He didn't play for whatever reason. I don't even know the reason he wasn't playing after the restart, and finally came back. I didn't expect him to do much, but he finished tied for 22nd at the PGA, tied for 25th at the BMW. That's pretty impressive for not playing and against the strong fields. He's got the prettiest swing in golf, no doubt about it. And he's been solid, on the season. He hasn't played a ton, but he's still 19th on tour in total shots gained, 9th around the green. His driving accuracy has been a little off, so that could be his Achilles heel this week. But he's a guy, I think, for a top 20 play, maybe worth a shot. Maybe there's a couple head-to-head matchups. I think he's up against Tiger Woods in one of the head-to-head matchups. I do like him over Tiger this week. But he's just – of those names, I'm just really not getting excited about it. I feel like you skipped over Berger. Did you say Berger?
I said Berger. Okay. We're talking Berger. We're going to talk Berger.
Fine, I missed that name. I must have heard every name right after you said him. He's the guy of that group. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You've been on him. Kudos to you. Since the restart, he has been lights out. Even his slip-ups are not bad. I mean, he's never really out of anything. The Tour Championship, okay, fine. He finally had a week where he really wasn't in contention all the way to the end. But every stat you look at, every start he's played in since the restart, or almost every start, he's right there. 33-1, plus 300 for a top 10. There's lots of ways to look at him this week, but he's the guy of that midfield. That's, in my opinion, that's worth betting on.
I have to tell you a little funny story about Adam Scott and Henrik Stenson. 2 years ago at the U.S. Open, Adam Scott and Stenson and some other guy were playing, and Scott and the other guy walked down the fairway, and they have where the crowd can walk across the fairway after the golfers are gone. And Stenson was lagging behind, and we started to walk across, and I bumped into, and I do mean I accidentally physically bumped into Henrik Stenson. I didn't see him. He was walking he was just walking through us, and we just thought the golfers already passed, and I bumped into him, and I was like, oh, go get him, Henrik. He was like, thank you. And then on the next shot, I was on the other side of the fairway, and Adam Scott was trying to come out of the fescue, hooked it way to the left, and missed my head by about 5 feet. That ball went whizzing by my head. So Adam Scott almost hit me in there. So is there any reason why the books have Patrick Cantlay ahead of guys like Daniel Berger and Matsuyama and Tony Finau, or is that just kind of a mix-up?
He's got good history in these tough fields from a year ago. I think based on recent form, I think it's a mistake. But he does have potential. He has performed in these type of environments more last year than anything, maybe the very, very beginning of this year or this past season. But current form, no, I don't really justify him being ahead of Berger.
Okay. And yes, I was going to get to it. Richard already beat me to it. Fleetwood finished third over in Europe, and I heard him in an interview say, I think I found something with my irons, which to me is the kiss of death. That anytime I hear a golfer like before a major go, you know what? This is the week that I found something with my irons. I run for the hills. Nick, do you believe that Tommy Fleetwood found something with his irons? I'm expecting one huge round from Fleetwood that gets everyone excited. I'm going to go with round 2 as the big one, where like Fleetwood goes like -2 or -3 and then falls apart for his annual 38th place finish.
-3 could be one of the better rounds of this tournament.
Absolutely.
Will be the true case. It probably will be one of the better. I don't know. I play enough golf and I joke around when I'm out there, and I'll slap it around the first couple holes, and all of a sudden I'll pretend to work on something in the tee box, and I'll hit a good shot, and I'll be like, oh, I think I just figured something out. And I know it's bullshit. So 1 week, I mean, listen, if you're really changing something in your swing and you really are finding something, it's probably a little bit more than 1 week. That's my opinion. It's probably more than 1 week.
Found something with his irons. Give me a break. Where'd you find it? Your golf bag, Tommy? Come on. Okay. Next tier of people, and there's one guy I really like this week, and I know nobody's talking about him. So let's talk Tyrrell Hatton, Fitzpatrick, Hovland, Harris English, Paul Casey, Answer, and we'll go ahead and throw last year's defending champ Woodland and Matthew Wolf into this group. So let's talk Hatton, who's one of the more entertaining players to watch, but this year he's been good. He's shown some real flashes of brilliance. Fitzpatrick, Hovland, Harry English, Casey, Answer, Woodland, and Wolf. I feel like Harris English is the sexy dark horse pick of the week. Every article, every website, like when they're trying to, everybody wants to get that long shot guy that they can say like, well, I picked him and he finished ninth. I feel like English is that guy. Nick, is he on your list, or any of these guys pique your interest?
I think, to answer your question in English, I think he's on that list because he's undervalued. I mean, this is a guy that definitely is a comeback player of the year. He is top 10 in total shots gained at number 7 last year. Number 18, tee to green. Number 18, putting. 9th in scoring average, and you're seeing him at 70-1. I don't know. Everything statistically says that he's been playing great all year long. So I do think he's underpriced, and that's why I'm looking at him this week, not necessarily because I think he's going to win, but I think his value is very, very, very good. You mentioned Fitzpatrick. I think could be a good play this week. He's proved very well. A solo third at the Memorial, tied for 6th at the FedEx, and tied for 6th at BMW. Strong tournaments, or tough courses rather, and strong fields. So he's a fun young guy to play. And then the guy you're probably getting the least respect, and maybe it's worth the price to pay right now, is the defending champion, Gary Woodland, 100-1. Now, his results arguably haven't been the best, but proven winner here. In the U.S. Open, he's not terrible when you look at his numbers. 26th in total shots gained, 10th in approach. He's keeping the ball in play. He lost some of his distance with his weight reduction, I guess we could say, but maybe that's not a bad thing. So I think he's a little disrespected, but of those longer shots, we'll call them, I think English is probably the one, just because I think he should be in the mid 40s, to be honest. I think he should be more like Hatton's price than anything. So that's what I like.
Okay. I will tell you that I think the best deal on DraftKings, he's only 8,000, is Matthew Fitzpatrick. I had him pegged as a guy that nobody will talk about. You mentioned 3rd, 6th, and 6th, and he's finished tied for 12th the last 2 U.S. Opens. He's never missed a cut at the U.S. Open. And here's a little fun fact about Matthew Fitzpatrick. In 2020, number 2 on tour in putting. Like, he really can get around these greens, and that is such a big advantage. He does not hit the ball super long, but that doesn't really matter here. It's all about putting it in the fairway and making your putt. So I think 8,000 in DraftKings is a steal. I love him at that 50-1, 61 price, wherever he's at. He's shown he can play with the big boys, and let's face it, with this course, you just need to be within a few shots on Sunday. Like, I think anybody with inside the top 10 on Sunday is going to have a shot. And this guy's shown he can play top 10 golf with the best of them. So that's my –
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're dropping down. Now we're getting a little dirty. We got our boy Shane Lowry. One of my friends I have a bunch of friends from Ireland, and one of them was in a pub when Shane Lowry was doing his victory lap after he went and said it was a blast. Yes, said Lowry came in with the jug, and they just partied all night. So we got Lowry, who unfortunately has not done a whole lot since. Kevin Kisner, here's my second, the Harry English award for who's the sneaky guy. Kisner, Louis, who I love, Horschel. We're going to cut it off there because the next tier is Spieth, Garcia, and Sungjae Im. I want to save those as their own tier. So any interest in Lowry, Kisner, Oosthuizen, or Horschel this week?
Outright markets, I think we're starting to fall down a little too far. I think we've already hit. I think the winner is going to come up from the top tier, of course, and middle tiers. We talk about this every time the fields get like this, and who comes out on top? It's the big name players. They're just proven winners over the course of 4 days in tough conditions. But Kisner, I don't know who he's up against matchups yet, because I did not go through all 100 of them. God bless you for getting through them all already.
I'm an addict.
But I would look at him at a potential matchup play, because you're right, he has been playing very, very well. And Wolf, I think, is an interesting one too. He's had flashes of really good play. Sungjae Im, I don't know. I mean, he had that one good event. I guess it was the Tour Championship. Was he playing very well, or maybe it was before that? I can't remember now. The BMW, I'm not even sure. But otherwise, we talk about him every week in this show. That he hasn't
been horrible.
He really wasn't showing anything. So I'm not looking at him at all this week. So I think Kisner is worth a play, and maybe Matthew Wolff in some sort of a matchup. But it all depends who they're up against.
All right, Johnny 05 Johnny S wants to know about Victor Hovland. Victor Hovland is a guy that I have a hard time trying to figure out where his game is at right now. A lot of inconsistencies, and that's what you're going to see in young players. He'll have a third and then a 48th and an 18th and a 40th. He played good at the U.S. Open last year. I can't say I want to support or fade Victor Hovland. He's a guy that just isn't going to be in any of my DraftKings. He's not going to be in any of my head-to-head matchups. He's probably not going to be in any of my daily matchups unless I see something. I just don't have a strong opinion on him right now. Nick, do you?
He came out of the gates with a restart, in a flourish, 5 straight top 25s, fallen off a little, but still hasn't missed a cut. I mean, we're talking 10, 11 starts since the restart for him. He hasn't missed a cut. Now, I know there wasn't a cut at the Tour Championship for the BMW, but still.
Counts. It goes on his resume.
He's been consistent. But I agree with you. I don't have him. I think he scares me a little bit too much to bet against because I think he could do well, but I don't trust him enough to bet on because he's not really proven it yet. So
I'm in the same
I'm
boat.
not even going to bother. I'm just kind of going to glaze over his matchups and that. Every once in a while you get those guys. I mean, you just have these guys that you're like, there's not enough there to fade. There's not enough there to take. And you got to pass over them and just wait until you see more one way or the other from them and try to get him another week. But no, I'm not doing anything with him.
Okay. I have not seen your head-to-head picks. You have not seen mine. I'm guessing Jordan Spieth and Sergio Garcia are going to make appearances in both of ours. You want to take Sergio or Spieth? You take one, I'll take the other.
Well, Spieth, the one of them. I don't know. It seems like everybody's got at least 2 matchups this week. The one I like, Spieth versus Mickelson. How about that for a matchup?
I saw that. What kind of sadomasochist do you have to be to put your hard-earned money on that?
The golfer in me, the heart in me, wants to throw all my money in the world at Phil. I mean, somebody put $45,000 on that guy to win. Look at him. Does he know something? Right? So the truth of the matter is Jordan Spieth cannot hit a fairway right now. So he is going to be gone Friday at the U.S. Open. Phil, you know what? He's actually hitting the driver better than he usually does as far as accuracy goes. He crushed the senior event a couple of weeks ago. He played pretty well last week, and in a tournament he was actually one of the betting favorites, which is surprising to say that at 50 years old he's a betting favorite in the PGA Tour. But
yep.
Okay, neither one of them are going to win the tournament. Neither one of them are probably truly going to contend. But I think Phil would have a better week over Spieth, so that I'll take that as my matchup play is take Phil over Spieth. I think Spieth's going to be gone early. I think he'll be gone before Friday. This
is a casual reminder. I mean, cat's out of the bag. Spieth on DraftKings and other books is plus 100 to miss the cut. I mean, he's going to have a resurgence with the driver to sniff the weekend, and he's constantly getting bailed out by these 40-foot and 50-foot bombs, which I think are going to be next to impossible on these greens. You might be able to take a run of it when the grass is longer, but 50-foot putts that he leaves himself, if those don't go in, they're going to be, 20 feet past the hole. Correct. So I think it takes away some of that for him. I'll take Sergio, who he just can't putt. He can't putt, and he used to be, years ago, it used to be if you wanted one guy coming out of the bunker, for a shot, Sergio was, at least in your top 5, and his short game has gone away. And just watching him and Spieth miss the cut at the Safeway Open, and don't give me this that they're just getting ready, that they were looking ahead to the U.S. Open. No, I followed them. And they were trying to putt and hit the fairways, and it wasn't happening. So these guys could not be further. I can't believe guys like Brendan Todd and Joaquin Niemann and even Ian Poulter are below them as far as odds. I can't believe it.
I really can't either. You're right. Listen, I made the mistake. I'm going to admit this, but please don't judge me for it. I bet on Sergio last week. Listen, what's amazing about the guy, I think he was third on tour last year. Shots gained, tee to green. Third. No, off the tee, excuse me. Third. But he has lost strokes putting in every tournament since the restart. He cannot putt a lick. He was actually
really bad.
I tweeted out on Friday after he missed the cut. He was top 10 last week in shots gained tee to green. Think about this. Top 10 player in the field hitting the ball from the tee box to the putting green, yet he missed the cut. You have to really suck at putting to do that.
Oh man, that's Nick Borrman. His U.S. Open package is up on wagertalk.com. I'm Andy Lang. My U.S. Open package is up on wagertalk.com. Now we're getting down into the nitty gritty. We got Bubba Watson, Brendan Todd, Joaquin Neiman, Cameron Champ, Poulter, Mickelson, Stenson, Kuchar. Boy, there's some grizzly veterans. I got to say, I left Poulter out of the grinding, and Poulter was a top 10 putter in 2020. I followed a lot of Ian Poulter. I think he's wildly entertaining, and the putter saved him a lot. He's one of those that would always be hitting 10 and 15, putts for par or for birdie, but he's done it enough over his career that you just say, this is just one of his talents. 3 straight made cuts. He missed the cut last year at the U.S. Open. It was one hole. I don't know if you remember. He hit it into the fescue that was on top of this little mound on a green. It took him 6 shots to get out of there. But other than that, a slew of missed cuts at the U.S. Open. He's not scared of the big stage, obviously. That might be a guy maybe in some daily matchups. Any of these guys impress you? Todd, Watson, Neiman, Champ, Poulter, Mickelson, Stenson. We have a Henrik Stenson sighting.
When you're down here, it's all about the matchups. If any of those guys you feel good about, are up against somebody that you just think is going to have a bad week. I mean, there's no way any of these guys are winning. One of them might sneak in for a top 20, a top 30, something like that. But I'm really not looking down the list too much. And again, once I get to the matchups, I could better answer that question, but I really didn't look at too many of these guys in any other market. So I don't have a comment too much further on these guys.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Let's see. And now we get down into the long shots. I do have a crazy stat for you, Nick, and you want to talk about scraping the bottom of the barrel at 6,200 on DraftKings. There is a golfer who has not missed the cut at a U.S. Open since 2004. And if he makes the cut this year, he will have made the cut at a U.S. Open in the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and the 2020s. Steve Stricker.
I was going to say, give me a second. I'm going to look through the list.
Oh, I'm sorry. I ruined it for you. He has 6 top 21 finishes in a row at the U.S. Opens that he's played in. He didn't play last year, but as just in 2018, this guy has a top 21 finish at the U.S. Open. And you want to talk about a guy that just puts it in the fairway and makes putts? It would not surprise me if he made the cut. It wouldn't at all.
I like Steve Swing. Hey, listen, who won last week? Stuart Sink?
Yeah. Shooting 21 under. Let's do Sink.
You never know.
I'm not saying he's going to win, but I'm saying if you're doing DraftKings stars and scrubs and you get that guy at 6,200, it's not terrible. So, all right, we're down to the bottom of the list. Any guys that you want to kind of casually throw out there as maybe some people to put in fantasy lineups, look at head-to-head matchups?
The only other guy that I was kind of like I'm on the fence with as to like I kind of want to play him in some fashion or another just because I'm excited for him is Will Zalotis. He's that Korn Ferry Tour player and he's going to be the player of the year. I don't know if they voted on it yet. #1 green and regulation guy from last year. I mean, just killed the tour. So he's expected to be a pretty good player on the PGA Tour. He's kind of like any of these young guys we got, the Morikawas, the Hovlands, the Wolfs, and they've all performed pretty well right when coming on the tour. So I'm interested to see what he's going to do. He's plus 500 for a top 20, plus 250 for a top 30. Maybe even just to make the cut is worth a bet on this guy this week. I don't know yet. I haven't committed fully, but I'm very interested to see how he does this week. But Korn Ferry Tours, Will Zalotis making I don't know if this is his PGA Tour debut, but this is definitely going to be his season on the tour. So I'm interested to see what he does.
I like sometimes taking a guy off of a different tour that has nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And can just come in and be like, if I miss the cut, who cares? Nobody's expecting that from me. Like, talk about no pressure.
Correct.
Couple guys that I'm going to be keeping my eye on. I cashed in on a real good bet with him last week. That's 3 top 14 finishes in a row, and the putter is really coming alive. That's Mackenzie Hughes. He's down there at 150 to 1. He hits fairways, and like I said, his putting has really, really been good. He's been a beast in head-to-head matchups. And Corey Connors, there's another Canadian. That's a guy that can drive the ball pretty straight. Not great with the putter. That's his Achilles heel, but it's a guy that can put it there in the fairway. And Will, how do you pronounce his last name? Zaloidis?
I believe it's Zaloidis.
Zaloidis. He's only 6,700 in DraftKings. So if you want to start off your DraftKings lineup with Zaloidis and Stricker,
you'll have a lot of room for a couple big guys later. That's
all. Richard wants to know, is Ches Reavie a grinder?
Maybe. I don't know. He's another guy that's just kind of weird to me. I mean, he doesn't play bad. So yeah, in that sense, I guess that's another good way to describe a grinder. You don't really have the blow up tournaments or blow up rounds. Even DJ is not a grinder for that reason, right? Once he kind of blows up, he's out of it. But I don't really see Reavie having too many just complete blow up tournaments or blow up rounds. Maybe he'll miss a cut, but it's not like he just was atrocious that weekend. So yeah, I could go with that definition.
Okay. Yeah, my experience with Ches Reavie is the only grinding he does is he's grinded through my bankroll sometimes when when he fails me in head-to-heads. I'll give you a random head-to-head matchup that I found on 5 Dimes in my last week that I'm allowed to play on 5 Dimes. That if you guys want something interesting, Ryan Fox. Do you know who Ryan Fox is, Nick, from European Tour?
I know the name, yeah.
Okay, well, his dad was a professional rugby player, and the guy's he's built like Koepka, and he's got a pretty good touch. He was up and he was down, and it looks like he's up. He's made, 8 cuts in a row, and they got him matched up against Rafa Cabrera Bello, who is just in a funk.
Yeah.
He's really bad right now. I have always been a Bello fan, but his game has completely gone away. Missed the cut last week, again at the Safeway Open. And so if you guys are looking at really obscure head-to-head matchups, I'll give that one. Ryan Fox, he's a really, really good, strong player. That's another guy that can muscle one out of the rough if he's in there. So, Nick, have you looked at any of the make the cut, miss the cut odds?
No, that's usually one I haven't. I don't know, for whatever reason. I don't play those a lot. I don't either. They don't offer enough. I mean, they offer the best players, and then you got to take like DJ plus 500 to miss the cut. Okay, I'm not going that. They don't offer enough people in the field that are like right at that even money number for me to really look at enough. So I never, because that's who you got to bet, right? It's the guys that really could be 50-50 to make or miss the cut. You just think they're going to have a good week, and they really never offer enough people that are on that cut line for me to really look through it and find anybody. So no, I haven't.
Well, a couple guys. I mean, Shane Lowry's plus 130 to miss the cut. I think that one's a good one. And again, we talked about Spieth just not being able to hit fairways. So, all right, we're up against it. Oh, by the way, Dave wanted us to say hi to everybody. He had something come up with a pet right before we started. So you always got to take care of the little guys. So Dave says hi to everybody. Drop him a line on social media. Nick, any last? Are you gonna be watching the whole thing? Do you rope off? Nice,
oh, yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I'll be watching. It's I wish I could go. If they were letting fans there, I would be there this year. It's only 2 hours from my house, so disappointing.
Oh man, we could have met up. We had tickets. We were there. Right. So, what a bummer. But at least they're having it. That's the good thing, is at least they're actually having it. So yeah, I'll be doing the same thing. Nick, real quick, besides golf, even though US Open takes all of our attention this week, what are you working on?
Soccer is back in full action. Premier League started up last weekend. This weekend, the Bundesliga, Serie A, all the major leagues are back this weekend. So it's a big, full slate of games coming up over the next, well, I guess for the rest of the season now at this point. So I'm excited that that's starting back up.
Richard wants to know what about Tiger to miss the cut? Honestly, I'd look at the temperatures. It's supposed to cool off a little bit. Yeah. I think if it gets below that 55 degree mark, maybe.
Go back to the definition of grinder. He's been that guy since the restart. He does just enough. And he plays very early on Saturday and Sunday, but really he hasn't missed it. I mean, until he starts actually missing cuts, it's hard to bet against him right now on the missed cut market because he's just not missing them. I don't know how. He just makes that putt, hits that one shot, but then he's at home before the leaders tee off. That's
let's see. Oh, the other thing I was going to mention, DraftKings has a boost. Guys, keep an eye on your sports books. If you're on FanDuel, DraftKings, or BetMGM or some of these, they have crazy boosts, and they have a boost this week. You can get an American to win the U.S. Open. It was minus 250 on DraftKings, and they'll boost it up to even money. Max bet of $50.
Yeah, that's a good bet.
Yeah. The reason I know that is you pointed it out to me with Tiger to make the cut. You can really, really take advantage of some of those. So I'm working on NASCAR. We're knee deep in NASCAR playoffs. That show will be tomorrow. We are at Bristol this week, I believe. And then UFC Takedown Live, 3-0 live bets on the show on Saturday night. It's so much fun. So much fun. We bet on a guy. I think we're 2-0 betting on guys based on their haircuts. That's been an actual winning handicap strategy. We'll be doing it again Saturday, but obviously U.S. Open is king this week. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining. That's Nick Borrman. He's on wagertalk.com. I'm Andy Lang. I'm on wagertalk.com. Hope everyone makes a lot of money. Happy U.S. Open week, everyone, and we will see you next week. Take care.
See you guys.